I'm focused on his spirit cause it keeps me from his fire. The Holy Ghost was with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie.
Hello, everyone. This is Christina Barr. You're watching Black Tea News. Today, we're going to be talking about Trump. He was asked about some economic stuff, and he made a statement that I don't think is going to be great. If that is kind of their attitude moving forward, so it's a bit of a warning for how they're proceeding. Also, I want to talk about a judge who just issued an order stopping Trump and the Border Patrol, saying that they cannot. Fox News reporting Blue State judge attempts to stop Border Patrol from arresting suspected illegal immigrants without warrant. And it's just a lot. Like, they're going so far to stop these people from being arrested and deported. And we're going to get thrown out, I guess, but probably they're well going beyond what they should be doing, and it's just getting really extreme at this point. So I'll be going through that story. Also, David Hoowitz passed away, and I want to show one of his iconic videos that a lot of people have been sharing around since his passing. Before I jump into everything, I want to encourage you guys, go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on the website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do, please consider leaving a donation on the website, because it does cost to stream and run my site, all the good stuff. So you guys can support. I very much do appreciate you guys. I know I did not play my promo today, or not my promo, but my intro, but I still didn't tweak it yet. So that's why I didn't play it yet, because I was going to change some clips and stuff around, and I just didn't get to it yet. Please check out some of my books that are available on Amazon. I think I maybe mentioned that, but I got historical fiction, fantasy, nonfiction books, faith books, and political kind of faith books too. I have of course, God is blatantly against abortion, all kinds of different things. Tomorrow is the 1st of May, so that means we are fast approaching Motor City Comic Con. If you're in the area, I encourage you guys to come and see me. I'll have a booth at Artist Alley. I think my number is I3, and I think my sister's is I4, so we'll be together. Where the artists and stuff are, we're kind of close, I think maybe to the wall, but we're not on the wall. But you guys, if you go to that side of the convention, you'll be able to find us, and there will be a map if you have a book. So Motor City Comic Con is on the 16th. So I haven't decided how much time I will take off, but I will definitely not be streaming on the 15th and the 16th. So I'll be missing in action coming up very soon, but I'll let you guys know what's going on. So anyway, first things first, I think I want to go ahead and talk about Mr. Hoowitz. Mr. Hoowitz, he's helped a lot of conservatives and helped to put them on the map, and gave a lot of people different support. I'm going to read a bit of the Fox News report on it. Then I'm going to play this video. Conservative commentator David Hoowitz dies at 86. David Hoowitz, a conservative commentator, author, and activist, died Tuesday at the age of 86, according to David Hoowitz Freedom Center, the conservative think tank he founded. Hoowitz died after a lengthy battle with cancer, and the center wrote on X, on behalf of David Hoowitz Freedom Center, we are very saddened to announce the passing of the center's founder, David Hoowitz. His son, Benjamin Hoowitz, a co-founder of the venture capitalist firm Anderson Hoowitz, shared an obituary on social media highlighting his career in media and activism, including several books he wrote and his endorsement of President Donald Trump. when the younger Hoowitz met Trump last year, he told the president about his father. President Trump's face immediately lit up. He insisted that Benjamin get David on the phone immediately. The obituary reads, hospitalized and weak. David was still delighted to speak with the president. Former Marxist and conservative commentator, was born in Queens. He earned a Bachelor of Arts from Columbia University and a master's from the University of California, Berkeley. Hoowitz is survived by his wife, April. Mullivan, sons Benjamin and Jonathan, and daughter Anne. His other daughter, Sarah Rose, died in 2008. Mullivan is his fourth wife. In the end, David helped countless people and expended every fiber of his being, pushing society towards freedom. The obituary reads, he may not have saved the world, but he most certainly made it a better place, especially for us. He was our superhero, and we will love him forever. You guys have probably seen this video before that I'm about to show you. Maybe you have. If you haven't, it's a pretty chilling, and that's one of the reasons why it is so viral. When he was doing a Q&A at a university, and this woman just flat out admits that she would be for the exterminations of some people. So here we go.
Just if you could clarify.
Okay. Will you condemn Hamas here and now?
I'm sorry, what?
Will you condemn Hamas
Would I condemn Hamas?
as a terrorist genocidal organization?
Are you asking me to put myself on a cross?
So you won't. I actually have had this experience many times. You didn't read the pamphlet because the pamphlet is chapter and verse. The main connection is that the MSA is part of the Muslim Brotherhood network as revealed in the documents.
I don't think you understood what I meant by that. I meant if I say something, I'm sure that I will be arrested for reasons of Homeland Security. So if you could please just answer my question.
If you condemn Hamas, Homeland Security will arrest you.
If I support Hamas, because your question forces me to condemn Hamas. If I support Hamas, I look really bad.
If you don't condemn Hamas, obviously you support it. Case closed. I have had this experience. I had this experience at UC Santa Barbara, where there were 50 members of the Muslim Students Association sitting right in the rows there. And throughout my hour talk, I kept asking them, will you condemn Hezbollah and Hamas? And none of them would. And then when the question period came, the president of the Muslim Students Association was the first person to ask questions. And I said, before you start, will you condemn Hezbollah? And he said, well, that question is too complicated for a yes-no answer. So I said, okay, I'll put it to you this way. I'm a Jew. The head of Hezbollah has said that he hopes that we will gather in Israel so he doesn't have to hunt us down globally. For it or against it?
For it.
Thank you. Thank you for coming and showing everybody what's here. And you're wearing a terrorist neckerchief.
If you understood,
you didn't hear the lady.
Could you please answer my question?
You don't get to make a speech. Yes, sir.
I wonder what happened to that girl. I mean, why would you, go up there and say, I can't say X, Y, Z because I will get arrested, and then just alert everyone how you think and how terrible you are. Aren't people still going to be hey, maybe we should call Homeland Security because this is a pro-terrorist over here. So I don't think she made herself less suspicious by being for, all the Jews being in one place, so they can be wiped out. By the way, yesterday I watched a debate between Apostate Prophet. I don't know his last name, but it's Rivdan. I just always call him Apostate Prophet, and Andrew Wilson. And Andrew Wilson, he's big in the red pill stuff. He's over at the Crucible, I think is his channel. And I've talked about Andrew Wilson in some of his debates before, Dillhunty, the atheist, on the Modern Debate channel. That was very interesting, but Andrew is a bit of a prickly guy. But anyway, they debated on whether Christians should support Zionism, and I can't see how anybody watched that and thought that Andrew won that debate. And it was I don't know, he was insufferable to me watching it. Because Apostate Prophet was he used scriptures, he used history, he used the modern context of like politics and so on. And the definition of a Zionist is just someone who you believe that Israel should have a nation like in their like homeland or whatever. Like you, and in the debate was, you know, whether or not Christians should support it. Now I think, which they didn't get into this, how much support is debatable. I think you can still be a Zionist and not want to write them a check in your own pocketbook or have your money confiscated to the government and send, you know, over weapons or something like that. I think you can still say, I support your right to exist and for you all to be together in the homeland and for you all to fight to protect one another, and good luck. I think you could do that and still be like, sure, I'm a Zionist. I think, you know, I think maybe Rivdan would go further than that as far as wanting to support Israel and sending them money or weapons or whatever. But even that, I think there's certain things that they might do that's, I think, for the good of the world. Like if they got rid of Iran's nuclear facilities, and we don't have to, if they bomb them, we don't have to go to war ourselves. Like that can be between Israel and Iran. Like everybody would know that we wanted it to happen, but that doesn't mean we have to do it. So you know, and they are our allies. So you know, you could reason, and then they can give us different technology and so on. So I guess there's reasons why you might give aid or not give aid, but you can still not write them a check and still like support, be there, because it Rivdan also talked about, like, you know, if they don't have Israel, it's dangerous for a lot of Jews other places, and historically where they've been driven out or like killed and other stuff like that. I'm like, well, that makes sense. And I think after October 7th, it certainly makes sense for them to have a place, because that was like the pitch. Like, we need a place where we can stand up for ourselves, protect ourselves, we can fight, you know? And after October 7th and seeing the anti-Semitism around the world and how some students are treated and in other countries and being chased through airports and all kinds of stuff, I'm like, it kind of does make sense for maybe them to have a spot where they can kind of protect themselves if they're not being treated too well in other places. So to me, it makes sense. But Andrew Wilson's like whole argument was, well, there are Jews who believe in building a third temple and they're waiting for another Messiah, which is obviously a false Messiah. So therefore an Antichrist, maybe not the Antichrist, but an Antichrist, and Christians shouldn't be supporting things that are like heretical and blasphemous. Therefore we shouldn't support Israel. And that was like his main argument, and it was very speculative, and obviously that's not even something that even a majority of them are pressed about. So it was, and Rivdan did have a response to it. I don't want to go through like the whole debate kind of off the top of my head, but it was very interesting. And then like Rivdan at one point was quoting Paul and talking about how the Jews were like most beloved, especially beloved or something. And then Andrew Wilson started making quips about like, oh, they have magic Jew blood. And he's just like, you're making fun of the Bible. Like, why are you making fun of Paul and what he wrote? And he tried to say that Rivdan was saying that Jews are more important than Christians or more beloved than Christians, which he didn't say that. And he said the opposite. And then Andrew kept insisting that he had said that they were like more beloved or whatever. And then he's like, well, if you're saying they're especially beloved, he's like, that's what the Bible says. But as people point out in the comments, like you can like in my family, there's 6 girls, 1 boy, just the 1 boy. So if my brother was especially beloved or whatever, it doesn't mean that my parents didn't love all the girls, but him being the only son, there's just a different affection that he has. So it was very strange. Anyway, that's on YouTube. You guys can find it. Warning, I don't know why their sound is so low when they record stuff, but it's an interesting thing to watch. But I definitely thought that Apostate Prophet won that debate. Anyway, let's get to the Trump stuff. So we've been talking about tariffs for a while, and I came across this video of Trump in the Oval Office, and he answered a question, and I think this is a terrible way to go. So I'll just I'm the wrong thing. Sorry. So I hope that they change their tune, and I'll let the video play, and then I'll explain what I'm not happy about.
When will you speak to President Xi of China?
That'll happen. I mean, look, right now, and I told you before, they're having tremendous difficulty because their factories are not doing business. They made $1 trillion with Biden, $1 trillion, even $1.1 trillion with Biden selling us stuff. Much of it we don't need. You know, somebody said, oh, the shelves are going to be open. Well, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30, you know, and maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. But we're not talking about something that we have to go out of our way. They have ships that are loaded up with stuff, much of which, not all of it, but much of which we don't need. And we have to make a fair deal. We've been...
Okay, so there's the thing that I'm taking issue with is this idea of, hey, he's getting comments from Target and Walmart and Home Depot, and they're saying, hey, we're going to have shortages. We're going to have empty shelves, and prices are going to go up. This is a thing that's going to happen. We talked yesterday about how the White House was angry at the idea of Amazon perhaps putting the cost of tariffs attached to their items, and Amazon said they weren't doing that. And there's just like a company like within Amazon that was even like, you know, brainstorming about it. But they were really upset, hostile at Amazon for even thinking about that. And if you are going to stand, you know, 10 toes down on tariffs, you know, and people are like, this is the cost of tariffs, then you could just nod your head and say, yep, and it's worth doing. And just try to explain to people why you think it's still worth doing, but you don't have to be mad that Amazon is showing people the actual cost and how, you know, people, it's eating into the margin. So people are going to increase the prices. And yes, they do pass it on to the consumer if the consumer is even willing to pay for it at that point. And if the consumer isn't willing to pay for it at that point, and it's no longer profitable to make, people will just go out of business. So there's all kinds of repercussions and stuff attached to this, but to go the route of, yeah, the shelves might be empty and maybe kids can't have all the dolls they want. Maybe instead of 30, they have 2. Guys, this isn't a good play. It's not. And Biden, you know, their administration was warned about their spending and inflation, and they passed an inflation reduction bill that wasn't that didn't reduce inflation. And Biden admitted in 2024 that it was actually like a Green New Deal thing. And he's like, we should have just called it what it was. And they kept spending and printing money. And we had issues that were, already exacerbated because of COVID. And then they spent money like immediately after that anyway. Things got bad and they tried to pretend like it wasn't. And then they tried to pretend like it was just greedy corporations doing a bad thing. And they're, it's shrinkflation. It's not our policy decisions. It's not because if we printed money. It's not because we did X, Y, and Z. It's just the companies. They're so greedy, trying to make a profit off of Americans. And it didn't work out too well for them. And Kamala Harris, first thing she wanted to do was price controls when she ran. And people are like, you are illiterate, financially illiterate. This is irresponsible. The sort of things that you're pitching. It did not go well for them. And people were like, we are picking Trump, not just because of the border, not just because of the woke stuff and DEI and transgender issues, but also because of the economy. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, he's still better than Kamala Harris and what we would have had with Kamala, especially the things that she was pitching. She was pitching some crazy things. But if we are now resorting to, yes, the shelves will be bare, and yeah, your kids will just have to learn to deal with less. That's not what Americans want to hear. It's not. It's not. It's not. Someone said we had empty shelves with Biden candy for Halloween. Many items could not get at Christmas. Food prices high. I'm not worried about tariffs. I mean, someone basically was asked that at the Trump rally the other day, which was actually yesterday. It wasn't the day before, but about high prices or like empty shelf or something. And they basically said the same kind of thing. Like, oh, well, I had to deal with this during Biden, had to deal with this during Biden, and we didn't like it then. We didn't like it then either. We want a recovery. We want a recovery. So if that's the route they want to go, if that's the route Trump wants to pursue, they can keep talking like that and keep, talking about how, with this narrative going on, coming from the White House, remember it's coupled with all these folks saying stuff about business owners being like, wah, boo-hoo, you're going to go out of business. Oh, you should have, did things in America. That'll teach you. And, oh, money doesn't matter. Like, we've had crazy narratives that just sound so foreign to Republicans. It's just not a good look. It's just not a good look. So we haven't felt the effects yet, really, of the tariffs. And I just hope the course kind of reverses. But there was something else today that was interesting. I know you guys don't like me ragging on Trump all the time, but I speak because I want there to be a positive change. And there's plenty of yes men online. I'm just not, that's not me. But there was a tweet today, or a truth rather, from Trump. This is from today. This is Biden's stock market, not Trump's. I didn't take over until January 20th. Tariffs will soon start kicking in, and companies are starting to move into the USA in record numbers. Our country will boom but we have to get rid of the Biden overhang. This will take a while. Has nothing to do with tariffs, only that he left us with bad numbers. But when the boom begins, it will be like no other. Be patient. So he's pleading with people, be patient, and that's the continued kind of notion. Just be patient. This will all work out, etc. Blah blah blah. I still think these long-term rewards that he's hoping to be the result of tariffs coming in and businesses coming back, there's still some things that have to be done overseas or will be just realistically done overseas. There's some people who just go directly to China themselves as opposed to dealing with price hikes in the United States of America. As a matter of fact, I think we talked about this before, but when things started heating up between us and China as far as the tariff stuff, different manufacturers on TikTok just started reaching out and saying, well, you guys can just get stuff directly from us. And a lot of these high-end brands that claim that they make stuff, like they get their stuff from us. So instead of you going to this brand and that brand and that brand, you can go directly to these manufacturers and pick up this stuff and it'll be way cheaper. So they're already trying to like woo Americans to not buy American, and they're like finding ways to like try to reach out and then putting like American companies on blast, or quote unquote kind of maybe not really American companies. So they'll find a way. They'll find a way. But Trump was saying that the stock market isn't because of him, it's still the effect of Biden. Interestingly enough, this is from last year, in January 29th, 2024. This is the Trump stock market because my polls against Biden are so good that investors are projecting that I will win, and that will drive the market up. Everything else is terrible. Watch the Middle East, and record-setting inflation has already taken its toll. Make America great again. So I do think people were optimistic about him winning, but you can't play a game where it's Biden's fault and you were claiming that the good is because of you, the bad's because of someone else. That's just, there has to be some accountability somewhere. Like his policies on tariffs do drive a certain amount of insecurity with businesses, and that does impact stocks and other things. Again, these major companies are coming to him, and he's cutting deals with some of these folks as far as what he's cutting out of what gets the tariffs and not get the tariffs. But what if you have a smaller business and you don't have some kind of middleman between you and the president? Like you don't have him on speed dial. So what happens to your little business where you might get a piece or something of something from China, and now your costs are going up? And China does shady stuff, though. Like they do things that are unfair, like robbing of the intellectual property and other stuff like that. They are a hostile enemy towards us. So another thing that's funny about all this with China is that Trump is like breaking the law to keep TikTok up. So I guess just keep that in mind. But it could be worth going to war for them if there is a clear plan and they reiterate their goals and they have some kind of strategy with allies to box out China and so on. And I know there's certain things that we've talked about and doing, but we've also decided to punch like everyone in the face with the tariffs, with Liberation Day. So we've been very prickly with the whole world when we should be trying to isolate China. And then, but if you had a good plan and you're telling the parents, like, we may need, like, be patient, like for the good of our national security and the interest of our nation, and etc. Like China is hostile. We need to defeat them, for a multitude of reasons. Hang in there with me. We can do this together. If there was that kind of messaging, and intended purpose that was focused, you can make the argument. I'm not saying that people would go along with it. I think more people maybe would, but it would be better than kind of what's going on now. But he wanted to throw hands with everybody. Question: are you worried about possible war? I'm not, but sometimes it does cross my mind. It would, well, I guess not really. With who? I guess war with who? I mean, there's people. I'm assuming we're talking about China, because I don't know. I just think war. I guess there's other ways they could go about doing things that don't have to launch into full-blown war. Like in the Middle East, there's so many people who are like ideologically driven for different sorts of reasons to do what they do. And yeah, things like October 7th and so on, and Iran, and like those things are inevitable just based off of different ideology. They just kind of function differently. But China can maybe eventually, when they gain enough kind of power, and they can box us out, I guess, if we're not successful at boxing them out. But as of now, I just don't I just think they have other tactics that could be beneficial to them, where someone just full-blown going to war with the US, United States of America, I don't think so. Not right now. It just seems like a big freaking leap for anybody. I think their arms are still short to box with us, and there's just other ways to duke it out with us. And I don't know how long their tariff war with us will last, because they're hoping that they fizzle out before we fizzle out too. So it just kind of depends on how they strategically work with other partners around the world. I guess I'm just kind of concerned about our relations with other people, because China is always forever expanding their influence in all sorts of parts of the world if they can. So I don't know. They steal technology all the time. It might be coming, but I don't think anytime soon. Said, I totally agree that Trump needs to be honest about things. He spends too much time being narcissistic, and he makes him say two different things depending on what benefits him. I think he just really, really likes the tariffs personally. And I think you guys remember yesterday we were reading through that article about Trump and him winning and the election, and they're like, oh, it's a comeback, and he's like, I wouldn't call it a comeback, but I always thought, like, it was just a matter of if I wanted to do it, and if I did do it, I would win. And he never really thought about the possibility of not being able to win. And he's just like really invested into positive thinking. I think that he believes that he can just bulldoze his way into success. And he really, at his core, has been talking about tariffs and America getting ripped off and the context of America getting ripped off, and you guys have seen probably the videos of him on Oprah and interviews and so on talking about America getting ripped off. The context of that is with trade deficits. So that's been his understanding for years, and he's got the power to do something about it. And I think he's just very ideologically driven to see that through. So I think it's an issue. But at the same time, he is a reasonable man. But we also read in that interview that he was asked about, like, hey, there's investors and different people who think that there's like a floor. Like, if the stock market gets to a certain number, or the bond market gets to a certain number, then Trump will reverse course. And Trump is like, not necessarily. I said, I think what he's saying isn't true. I think there is a bottom. I think when he watches the markets and he has other people in his ear and they're like, this is going to kill the midterms, this is going to do this is going to be really bad. If there's enough people saying like this is catastrophic, we need to reverse course, as long as he has a way to save face and claim victory. Or other people could just convince him and talk to him about, like, hey, we made this deal, we made this trade deal, it was worth doing this because we have this trade deal. We can say that we won here, one here, one here, and he'll just go on saying that he won there and that his demands were made and that's why he can back off and so on. So I do think there's a way out as far as with some of those policies, but I think the main issue is that there does seem to be some uncertainty because there's people in his ear that wants there to be a conclusion to this stuff, but there's other people who really want to go along with it and are in his ear playing to his inner nature about this stuff. So I just don't want that rhetoric of get used to having less. Just get over it. Like, the American people aren't going to like it. That's not why they put him in office. And you can say it, realistically, I don't know what people's expectations were. Like, you wanted all the problems to be fixed in 100 days. Maybe Trump was like promising certain things would be done really quick, like in negotiation with Ukraine and Russia before he even takes office. I didn't think that was possible. So if it happened, pleasant surprise. But I wouldn't be basing success of his presidency based off of that campaign promise. It was more like, some things that politicians say. But I didn't expect so many things to turn around like instantly with the economy and everything to feel all better within just 100 days. Though I don't know, things, I guess, gas is going down, well, I don't know, it's kind of stagnant. It keeps going up and kind of down. Like every time it gets to like a little bit, I don't know how much gas is where you guys are at, but it's every time it gets just like a little bit below $3, it just like shoots back up like 30-40 cents. It's driving me crazy. But isn't it insane that gas used to be like $5? I was thinking about the other day, I'm like, how did we make it? How did we survive that? Living in a world where it's like $5 a gallon. Like I remember it being $4 something. I'm like, this is just insane. And then it just shot up like another $1. It didn't stay at $5 forever. And in California, it got up to like $6 something, I think. But man, it was crazy. But we've survived a lot and things have gotten better. Inflation obviously isn't as high as it used to be, but folks still want to feel more relief. And if he's promising the opposite, it's just not going to do. I'm not optimistic about the midterms if things continue in this way. Hate to be the bearer of bad news. I don't think expect any president to get things done ASAP. I give them more than a month and a half. That's just the nature of what a lot of people end up doing. And when he first came into office, there was like, the stock market was booming because there was this optimism. And then there were different announcements of deals. And there was one plant that Trump promised to keep open, like on the campaign trail. And someone had reminded him and he was like, oh shoot, I gotta keep my promise. So he like twisted some arms to try to get to work to like individually save these people's jobs. So there was just a momentum that his first term really had when he was president, and it just kept going and going and going and going, and really didn't seem to slow down. And people were expecting it to slow down. We were expecting some kind of recession. It didn't happen until COVID shut the whole world down. So we're coming out of a bad situation. And Biden kept trying to insist everything was fine and people were still suffering financially and with a lot of lack. And again, he pointed to greedy corporations instead of different policies that they had that exacerbated the problems with them spending so much money. And then extending the pandemic in ways that were unnecessary with different lockdowns, I just I want to win in the midterms. I want Trump to maintain majority. I want this tax bill passed, though they still have to tweak stuff. I think if they pass no tax on tips, and there's a lot of gig workers, man. There's a Chick-fil-A that recently opened up, and man, I've never seen so many Door Dashers in one place in all my life. And all those people are probably expecting that they will have no tax on tips. And if that thing gets signed and passed and they still have to pay taxes on tips, that's not gonna be good. That is not gonna be good. I know those companies are lobbying and telling their people to lobby, but they're still negotiating things on the tax bill. And it sounds like they wanted it done by Memorial Day, but now they're aiming toward July 4th. So we'll see. Something that Trump could be doing that apparently they're not doing right now is nomination of federal judges. And that was rapid fire in his last administration. So I don't know what's the holdup there. But as far as making a impact, the appointment of the judges, and I know that was like McConnell's project with like the Federalist Society and so on. They got to get somebody on it. But anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about this this judge who apparently stalled out arrests for people here illegally, and you have to have a warrant. This is from Mike Lee. Federal judge orders Border Patrol not to arrest illegal aliens without a warrant, even though federal law specifically authorizes them to do so. My fellow Americans, we have a problem.
All right, another judicial pushback against President Trump's immigration crackdown. This comes after dozens were arrested in January during Border Patrol's Operation Return to Sender, where agents rounded up people determined to have entered the who were determined to have entered the country illegally. Yesterday, California District Judge Jennifer Thurston demanded CBP agents cannot arrest suspected illegal migrants without a warrant or reason to believe the person is a flight risk before they can get one.
What if you're pretty sure? Everybody should have due process. There's some rhetoric about people not really having due process. And like, well, are they American? People are supposed to have a due process. Okay. But I don't know. I just feel like American citizens who are in trouble with the law don't get this kind of I don't know, care, special treatment. I don't feel like that's the case. So I'm going to go ahead and read this article from Fox. Blue state judge attempts to stop Border Patrol from arresting suspected illegal immigrants without warrant. Any guesses to which blue state that is? Any guesses? I'll wait 5 seconds and let you guys think about it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It is California. A California judge on Tuesday demanded Border Patrol agents allow people to think they are living in the U.S. illegally to stay in the country unless authorities have a warrant or reason to believe the person may flee before they can get a warrant. U.S. District Judge Jennifer L. Thurston ruled on Tuesday that Customs and Border Protection agents from the Eastern District of California cannot stop illegal immigrants without reasonable suspicion or deport them via voluntary departure unless that person is explained their rights and agrees to leave, according to a report from the Associated Press. The decision comes after dozens of people were arrested in January during the Border Patrol's Operation Return to Sender. The American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, filed a lawsuit against the Department of Homeland Security, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, and CBP officials, claiming Border Patrol agents unconstitutionally detain people who look like farm workers regardless of their actual immigration status or individual circumstances over the span of a week. According to the report, detainees were allegedly taken by bus to the border, held without being able to communicate with family or legal representation, and forced to sign documents that stated they waived their right to see an immigration judge and voluntarily agreed to leave the U.S., the ACLU said, which, if you trust the ACLU, Thurston wrote that the evidence showed Border Patrol agents engaged in conduct that violated well-established constitutional rights, the AP reported. The agency will be required to submit a report showing who is being held and who was arrested, along with the reasoning for both, every 60 days until the lawsuit is resolved. CBP claimed Thurston did not have jurisdiction to make the ruling, but said it wouldn't matter if she did because the agency has already issued new guidance and training to its agents detailing exactly what people may be stopped or arrested without warrants and what rights detainees have after their arrest, according to the report. Thurston alleged the policy could be changed again in the future. Someone said no country operates like that. No country does. Like, I remember there was a story about a man who just drove kind of like, I think accidentally, just went through Mexico and was like had crossed the border, and they held him for a minute. I was going into I was like at the bridge because I was going to Comic-Con. I've told the story before, and I made the wrong turn in Detroit, and I was like going to the area where you cross the Ambassador Bridge to go to Canada. And so I just went in like the parking lot Like, I didn't go through the line for them to actually check me out and show my passport, all that stuff. I just drove in to like turn around, and they stopped me, and then they kind of was giving me and my sister a hard time. And I clearly didn't come from the other side of the border. Why would I want to break into Canada? I wouldn't. And I was clearly just turning around. And then they start questioning me, like, well, where are you going? We're like, we're going to Comic-Con. Like, you guys are going to Comic-Con? We're just like, I mean, we weren't in costume or whatever, but we were, I was back in the day when I wasn't covering politics. I was just talking about pop culture stuff. And so me and my sisters, we had a thing called, we were the Gorgeous Geeks, and we went around interviewing celebrities and talked about movie reviews and TV reviews or whatever. We had, a lot of our following was like Smallville. So that was a while ago. Smallville's been off the air for a minute, but we were going to Comic-Con, and we have comic books in the car. Like, we have press badges. And then they're like, oh, what's that on the floor? Is that drugs? And we're like, that's like dirt. What are you talking about? Never had a drug in my day in my life. So, people are sticklers about the border, man. They can be really annoying. And there's so many different checks and stuff. You go to different countries, they just don't allow all this stuff to happen. And so there's so many judges who are ruling things out of their jurisdiction. This article is a little, I don't know, the reporting I'm seeing on this is a little unclear, because they're saying they can't arrest them without a warrant, but I just want to make sure they can still arrest them with probable cause, because people do that all the time. They stop people and arrest people with like I just want to make sure there's a crime in motion happening, that you can still arrest them without some kind of warrant. But we're just going through a lot for folks who shouldn't be here. Mike Lee had also wrote, it appears we have yet another judge problem. A U.S. District Judge, Jennifer Threston, who was issued an order banning Border Patrol from arresting illegal aliens unless they have a warrant. Officers routinely arrest without an arrest warrant when they acquire probable cause to believe a crime has been committed. A USC Code 1357 expressly authorizes Border Patrol to make warrantless arrests for immigration violations, particularly if the person is entering the U.S. illegally. I cannot fathom the jurisdiction for a judicial order prohibiting the Border Patrol from arresting illegal aliens without a warrant. So, I saw someone who I follow who was just like, they should ignore this, but I don't want to go around saying they should just ignore stuff, but they need to get this resolved and not have so many judicial activists stopping all this from going on. I want people to get due process. I want, which you have your day in the immigration court, and they give you the orders that you have to go. You did have your day in court. I want them to make sure that they're deporting actual people who don't belong here. So I want them to do their job, and I want them to do it swiftly, and I want them to do it competently. So they need to be on their A game, but the Democrats and the judges and the courts, everybody needs to be fair to the rule of law here. And to do this in a way that is humane, yes, but efficient and effective. And if it looks like we're not going to deport people will just continue coming in. And that's why you had so many people who came in illegally during the Biden-Harris administration, because they believed that they would not be sent back. That's why there's so many people here, by the way, who, you ever hear stories where there's someone who's been here for like 20 years and they didn't get their papers and stuff in order, and they're being deported and they got a whole family, and folks go like, well, they had all this time, they could have got stuff in order. They could have, but people have it in their minds that they're not going to be sent back. So they just wait around, and they, I've heard of different cases like that where they just were like, I never thought I'd be deported. So they didn't do anything, and now they're all shocked. They're all shocked. Well, they could have, got a hearing and all kinds of maybe different stuff by now. Because people just didn't think they would be sent back. Now, I don't know why, because Obama sure was deporting a lot of people. I mean, I guess they did the Dreamers and all that stuff too, so I guess people had a reason to think that they wouldn't be sent back. But Obama deported a lot of people, and he will probably, unless there's some kind of big drastic thing that happens, as far as like the Border Patrol, like more agents and more judges, and they stop, obstructing, unless there is a huge increase, Obama will probably still deport more people than Trump. We are not going to get the biggest mass deportation in history unless there's a significant change. So people flipping out about Donald Trump it's just politics. It's just politics. And having a secure border was just common sense up until just a couple of years ago. I'm not saying everybody enforced it as well as they should have, but it was just common sense. It is a recent invention of the Democrats where it's like, oh, we need to just let them in. Oh, we don't need to have anyone detained. And people like Kamala Harris saying that crazy stuff, and Biden adopting that ideology. That is recent, very recent. You can go back and listen to Obama talk about immigration, or Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton's her pick for VP, Tim Kaine, he was talking about funding a border wall, I think, with fines from people who entered the country illegally. Like these people, though they were not perfect, they were better than like the modern iteration of the Democrats and their views on the border. So we are just kind of returning to normal. And Trump is nowhere near the numbers right now of like Obama. And the Democrats were just kind of sleeping on that. And they were still actively deporting people. And there were people they wouldn't let in. Like there were different people who were trying to seek like refugee kind of status, like for Christian persecution over like they're not being able to homeschool their kids and stuff, and the Obama administration didn't want to let them in. Like, so it's just madness to me. Someone said the U.S. and the rest of the West is on a steep decline. I can't disagree with you, but maybe we will wake up. And we can, but the economy's got to shape up if we want to continue the trajectory. Or Trump needs to get on with a lot of different things with his agenda. I don't want a chance. Thinking about the Supreme Court. I do not want to see Clarence Thomas go. I just don't want a Democrat to replace him. I was like living on edge with the idea of like, gosh, what if something happened to him and he passed away and Joe Biden had to replace him? That would have been the worst thing. I'd be like, Lord, where's the justice in this world? And I certainly didn't want Kamala to replace him either, but it would have just been awful if Biden did that. And him and Alito are up there, So I don't know if Trump's going to be able to. Well, he did 3 appointments in his first term. I hope they got some good replacements, man. Anyway, that's all I think I got to say today. Please go blacktnews.com, check out different content, my website, articles, videos, etc. Someone said they were scared that something was going to happen to Thomas. He's such a rock on the Supreme Court. He is such a rock on the Supreme Court. I love Thomas. It's funny because people talk about how like, oh, Republicans are so terrible, they're so racist or whatever. If we could multiply Thomas and he'd be the only person on the Supreme Court and there's just 9 of him, that would be like our perfect Supreme Court. Maybe we could have one Alito, but we just, all Thomases would probably be fine. He's got a really great backstory and stuff too. If you guys happen to have, I don't know where else you can watch it besides Daily Wire, but there's a documentary on Clarence Thomas called Created Equal, and it's really good. It's really good. I recommend you guys watch it, to go through his life and see just, how he was so radical at one point in time. Like he was like in some kind of like mob. And that was like his turning point. And he was just like, my heart was so full of anger and I couldn't believe how far on a dark path I had gone. And so he had to pray to God to take away like the hatred in his heart. Because he grew up, Catholic and stuff, and he just got really frustrated about, because he didn't feel like the church was speaking out enough about different racial issues and so on. And he just, got really radicalized and had to have a turn. And he turned into the greatest like Supreme Court justice, one of them. And they of course go through the whole high-tech lynching and Anita Hill and all that stuff. It's just a really good documentary. I encourage you guys to check it out. It's on Daily Wire. I don't know anyone else who might have it. You might let me see. Oh, this is on YouTube Movies. Is that a preview or the whole thing? Oh my gosh, you can watch the whole thing on YouTube. Well, what do you know? Someone said clone him. I'm gonna... What do you know? The whole thing's on YouTube. Sorry, Daily Wire. I just posted a link in the comments to the video if you guys want to watch that. Boom. Facebook would not take the link. I don't know why. I'll try to post that. Let me see. I'll try posting it directly. I'll post it in my timeline. Yay. So you guys can watch it and let me know what you think. But it's really good. Yeah, I think I'll take some clips and talk about it then. I'm so happy we have this conversation. Anyway, yeah, you guys can go to the website, check out different content on it. If you like what I do, you guys can support on the site because it does cost a stream and all that good stuff. Please check out my different merch that's available on the site, and please check out some of my books that I've written. I have a lot of fiction books, but I do have nonfiction books as well. You guys can check out a link on Amazon that'll take you. They'll take you to like different descriptions and so on of the book. So I encourage you guys to check that out. So yeah, I look forward to you guys watching this documentary. I love Clarence Thomas, but it's just really incredible. Ideologically where the different struggles that he had in his life, and people try to act like he's such a big Uncle Tom and like he's so soft and he's not really like a real Black person. And I'm like, his life is extraordinary, and the struggles and different things that he had, and the way that he's walked through life just because he came to a different conclusion as far as politics and like philosophy and so on doesn't somehow negate his entire life. Like it's just so ridiculous. Like people who talk about him don't know him. Like I don't know him personally, but a lot of people who have criticisms for him don't understand his background, or really his probably even his philosophies. So, which he talks about how he kind of came to formulate them. So I'm happy. I'm gonna rewatch that. Anyway, I don't know why the link wouldn't post in the Facebook chat, or it looked like it did, and then there was an error. So I'll just post it directly on my page on Facebook. But anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow. God bless.